What's the story, Morning Glory? What's the word, Hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this review of Married at First Sight Australia, Season 9, Episode 7. So, this is the week of confessions. The couples are going to be confessing something about themselves or revealing something about themselves to their spouses, and they're going to be aided with a task or a assignment by the experts to assist with said confession. So let's start off with Andrew and Holly. First of all, what I want to say about Holly is she says in this episode that she had manifested this. In the very beginning of the episode, she says, "This is what I have manifested." She manifested getting married and having a husband, and so it happened. Holly reminds me of that old adage, be careful with what you wish for because you just might get it. And she definitely got married. She definitely got herself a husband. But is this really the best scenario for Holly? So they have to write a letter to each other, her and Andrew. That was their task, their confession task. They have to write a letter to each other confessing something about themselves, some deep inner secret about themselves. So Andrew's letter to Holly is he is confessing to her that, and he did preface this by saying that he felt comfortable enough with her to tell her this because what he was about to confess is something that he has lied about in the past with previous partners in his life, but he's at that point now with Holly where he feels open and comfortable enough to tell her. And his confession is that he really, really loves sex. He loves it a lot. He thinks about it all the time. He wants to do it all the time. He wants to explore it all the time. He wants to experiment with it. He loves it. He's obsessed with it to the tune of having 350 sexual partners. So Holly asked him, "How do you know it's been 350? Like, were you keeping count? Were you keeping track?" And he figured that at however many women per month or per week multiplied by the number of months in a year, divided by 3, carry the 7, whatever, it came out to about 350. So for him to be able to calculate the math like that, like, okay, I would be with so many women per month or so many women per week or so many women per day, that means that he was consistently sleeping with someone, like on a very consistent basis. I guess the only break he had, hopefully, was when he was married, because I think he was in a serious enough relationship to have a child. So hopefully when he was in that committed relationship, he had taken a break. Wow. 350. So, and he promises her that it was all protected, of course, except for when he had a child. So Holly confesses to him that she has a very deep rooted fear of not having a child. She says that throughout her life, she had put her career first. So she concentrated on building her career and she had put motherhood on the back burner. And now she's at a point where she really regrets doing that. And she wishes that she would have taken care of that a lot earlier in her life. Now, at the age that she's at, she's only 36. I mean, I don't think that, she's at the end of her fertility rope, but she feels like she is. So at the age of 36, she's really worried if she will even be able to carry a child. And so she really wants to have a child. And she says that in her past relationships, when she's talked about it, men have, I guess she felt like, or the men felt like she was putting some type of pressure on them. Now, she says she doesn't want Andrew to feel that way, that, she's pressuring him, but that is something that she would like to experience, is to be a mother. Andrew's response was very caring, was very supportive. It seemed like he was on the same page with her because, they both got into this experiment to get married, and what's very normal and natural for a lot of couples, not all, but for a lot of couples, when they're married, at some point they want to have a family in whatever way. So it seemed like he was on the same page with her. Well, the next time that we see this couple, we find out that Andrew slept on the couch. So after they confessed their deepest, darkest secrets to each other, he ended up sleeping on the couch. And, I'm like, what in the world could have happened now with these people? So Andrew said that he was not so sure about having a baby so soon. And he basically tells her, I don't think I'm the one for you. He also had said to her, it seems like you got into this experiment just to have a baby. And she said, if I just wanted to have a baby, I would have just went to a fertility clinic and just done it by myself. It was beyond that. Obviously, I wanted to have a partner. I wanted to be married, and that's why I'm here. So she reveals something so personal to him, and now he's weaponizing it against her and using that as an excuse of why he probably doesn't want to be with her anymore. Like, that is just awful, Andrew. Like, you have no sensitivity whatsoever. And if that's how you felt, then initially when she told you, why did you come across like you were understanding and you were very sympathetic about it? Like, what made you change all of a sudden? So next they have to do a photo ranking task. So they have all the photos, the headshots of all the brides and all the grooms who are in this experiment with them. Now, what they're supposed to do, Holly is supposed to rate the grooms in order of attractiveness, the ones that she finds the most attractive, all the way down to the one that she finds the least attractive. And Andrew will do the same for the brides. So I don't really think, I really didn't understand really the point of it all. At first, I thought maybe the reason why the show does this is to create jealousy. When someone ranks a particular person number one, then I guess the spouse is going to feel jealous or something. I didn't really get this at all, this assignment, because no one, it seemed like it really didn't have the effect that maybe the experts were looking for. I don't know. So Holly places Brent first, and Brent is the one, I can't remember her name, but Holly places Brent first, and she says that he's very real, and so she finds that very attractive in him. And she places Anthony last because he really wasn't connecting with his partner. She places Andrew between Brent and Mitch, so she places Andrew second. She would have placed him first, but because of what they've been through, the negative experiences that they've been through, she can't put him first because he makes her feel bad. She also said he makes her feel unattractive, and I didn't understand how he made her feel. Oh, I guess when he said that, she was basically, she was very, like she wasn't present during their intimacy when they consummated their marriage, I guess. He felt like she really wasn't present, and maybe that's what made her feel unattractive. So Andrew says, you can place me last if you want to place me last. I have no problem with that. He acts like he has a lot of confidence in himself that he really wouldn't care one way or the other if she did place him last. Like, he didn't want to put any pressure on her to put him up at the top. He says, it won't hurt me. I'm just being me. I'm being my authentic self. And he doesn't feel responsible for what she feels. So Holly is like, okay, I'm not going to place you last because that's not how I feel. I felt like I put you where I felt like you belonged. And she's ready to move on with the task, to have him rate the brides. And he was like, no, let's talk about this. So the more he wanted to talk about it, the more it seemed like it really did bother him that she placed him second after Brent. I don't know if he assumed that she was going to place him first after he treated her like garbage. Holly's a trooper. Holly is really a trooper because the things that he has said to her so far about her not being present during the consummation of their marriage, of him flipping, acting like, at first, so he was supportive of her wanting to have a baby, and then turning around and acting like, well, that's not what I want to do, so I'm not the one for you. He's been very awful to her, very rude to her. So and she's still there. She's still sticking it through. So when she was ready to move on to the next part of the task, he was like, no, let's go ahead and talk about this. So because, she really didn't feel like talking about this anymore, and he was pressuring her to talk about it, she really let him have it. So she talked about how rude he's been to her, how he's made her feel, and she completely unleashed on him. Andrew got so frustrated with the conversation that he got up and he left, and he told the producers that he wanted to go home. So we just see him walking out of the apartment and walking down the hall. Who the hell knows what happened to him? So let's move on to Sam and Al. So Sam is still worried about Al's immaturity. Sam has never lived away from home, so he doesn't know how to do a lot of things on his own because his mother has done everything for him. So he doesn't know how to cook, he doesn't know how to clean, he doesn't know how to do laundry. He's completely lost in the sauce with all the domestic things that a person has to do around the home. So it is confessions week for them as well, and they're going to do the photo ranking. So they have to, like I said, you rank the brides and grooms from the order of attractiveness, from most attractive to least attractive. So Al ranked Celine first, and he called her a MILF, but then he ranked Holly last. And the reason why he ranked Holly last, he said, was because she seemed a lot older and she had like a mother quality about her. But he ranked Celine first, and I'm pretty sure Holly and Celine are probably around the same age, so they're both older women compared to him. I didn't understand, if you ranked Holly last because she was older, why would you rank Celine first because she's also older? Unless you found Holly kind of matronly, kind of dowdy, kind of frumpy maybe, and that's why. And then you see Celine as this like really hot chick. I don't know. So Samantha believes that Al is attractive. She prefaces by saying, saying the positive before she goes into the negative. She says, I think Al is attractive. I think as far as looks go, he's a 10 out of 10. But because of his immaturity, it's a huge turnoff for her. So when she does the ranking of the grooms, she ranks Mitch. Oh, where did Al put Sam? I think he put Sam first. I think he ended up putting Sam before Celine. So anyways, Samantha tells us that she thinks that physically Al is attractive. He's a 10 out of 10, but she just can't deal with his immaturity. So when she ranks the grooms, she put Mitch last because he was just too pretty. And she put Andrew first because he seemed very accomplished. He seemed very mature. He just had he just seemed like someone who is, a very mature older man who's accomplished a lot in life. And so she found that very attractive in him. And she ranked Al third. So she had Andrew first, and then she had Jack second, and then she put Al third. And he was really bummed out about that. He kind of reacted like a baby, instead of just taking it in stride. He really was hurt about it, and he let it known that his feelings were hurt that she put him third. And he says, she tries to make him feel better by saying, you're an attractive guy. You really are attractive, but you're just really not my type. It doesn't mean that you're not attractive. You are, but it didn't matter to him. It was like it's almost as if you felt like he was going to put his thumb in his mouth and just go sulk in his room or something. And he did rank her first. Moving on to Anthony and Celine. So Anthony and Celine, they're living separately, and it's time for their confessions week, and they do a letter writing task. So he comes over for them to do the task, and Celine, what did I write here? She says she's scared to open up to Anthony. So her letter to Anthony was, she talked about her very difficult labor and delivery of her son. She had a very difficult labor, and she also suffered from postpartum depression. And she talks about, the difficulty of it, the troubles that she went through to have her son. But then at the end of it all, she had this beautiful, healthy baby, and it was worth it, and she would do it all over again. Blah, 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 blah. So after she read the letter, and as she was reading the letter, it seemed like, Anthony was very attentive. He was listening. He was nodding his head in the appropriate places. He was paying attention. And then after she read the letter, he said some really, comforting, supportive words, and he was very present, and he had a really caring, good reaction to what she went through. And then, they gave each other a hug. Then it's time to do the photo ranking task. So she rated Jackson last, So what she said was, Celine said that she was going to rate the grooms on how they treat people. She wasn't going to go so much on looks. So she rated Jackson last. I forgot why. But she placed Anthony, her husband, fifth, like right in the middle. And she said that she wasn't going to place him first because he's just too sensitive for her. So based on the sensitivity, she was like, I can't put him first. So she put him in the middle. Anthony really wasn't happy with that. So Celine says, so then they start talking about their issues and the fact that they're living apart. And I think he asked her, how long are we going to be living apart? And she said that she really wasn't over him leaving the honeymoon. And so we're back on him leaving the honeymoon. So they start arguing about that all over again. So he asked how much longer will they have to live apart. She said that she didn't know because he left. And so they start arguing. And then Anthony wants her to take accountability for her part. And she's like, I didn't do anything wrong. So when she says she didn't do anything wrong, he was done. He got up and he left. He was like, I can't deal with it. And like, Anthony, I feel you. I feel you. I feel you on that. It is so frustrating to deal with someone who never sees the wrong that they've done, no matter how big or how small, no matter if the wrong that you did far outweighed the wrong that they still did a wrong and they still don't want to admit to it. So when he got up and he left, when she said that, I was like, I feel you. I would have gotten up and left too, because you got to take accountability for what you did. It doesn't mean that it's all your fault. It doesn't even mean that the majority of the problem is your fault. But if you did something that contributed to someone else feeling some kind of way, own up to it. Own up to it. Take accountability. Be responsible for what you did and for how you made the other person feel. But she thinks that she was completely innocent and he's the one that's completely overreacting. So he got up and he left. And when he left and he went back to his own apartment, there was like their wedding photo on a table. And so he covered her up. And I thought that was hilarious. Moving on to Tamara and Brent. So for Confessions Week, they have to watch their auditions tape. So when they watched her audition tape, for the show, she talked about a lot of materialistic things. Like she wanted a man who was accomplished, a man who had money. She likes to live a certain kind of lifestyle. She expects her partner to come with a certain, with something to the table. So she talked a lot about money and materialism. So Brent was completely turned off by that. And he said that it was a terrible thing to watch. Holly says that she's not pretentious, but feels like she deserves those things because she's worked so hard. And also she said that she's sick and tired of having to look after other people. And I think what she meant by that is, dealing with men that you basically have to take care of them because they're not on the same level as you. So you're the one that's providing for them. And she's like tired of doing that. So she wants a man to be on her level or higher so that she can be taken care of for once. And she can be shown, the better things in life, the finer things in life. So she tells Brent that auditions tape, that little clip that he saw of her talking about money and wealth and material things, she tells him that's not really a good representation of who I am. And so Brent believes her because he says, the Tamara that I got to know is not like that. So when she says that's not really a representation of who she is, I totally believe it. So come to find out the next morning, this issue of whether or not she's materialistic or not, or this little, they didn't even like have an argument about it, but watching this audition tape did something for them because the next day we find out that they consummated their marriage. They got, hot and heavy for each other and did what it had to do. So, something about the emotions about watching that video brought them a whole lot closer together in more ways than one. Moving on to Olivia and Jackson. So Jackson talks about his mom's divorce. So they watched his audition tape. And in his audition tape, it was about his mother's, not divorce, his mother's domestic violence experience. His mother is a victim of domestic violence. It seems like in more than one relationship. And so he talks about having to shield his sisters from witnessing the mother being abused. He talks about, I guess, even having to stand in between his mother and her abusers. And just, because of that, he's always taken on a very protective role over the females in his life. And And then he, while he's telling Olivia about this, he's getting emotional about it. He's crying about it. And it was a very heart touching moment. It definitely brought them a lot closer. She got to see another side of him. And she was very, very sympathetic. And she was also very, very supportive as he told his story. So that is the end of Married at First Sight Australia, episode 7, season 9. If you made it this far, I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much for joining me. On your way out, please don't forget to rate the video. If you like this content, go ahead and subscribe. If you don't like this content, perfectly okay. Thank you for stopping by anyway, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.